throughout the lineup young bats like Jeff McNeil and Peter Alonso budding into stars. But like most years, the Mets happen. Money can't buy happiness, and it apparently can't even buy a team that's over 500. Phillies, this is pathetic. All of that noise you made over the offseason to bolster the lineup just to witness a pile of rubbish masquerading as a baseball team. The problem wasn't in the hitting acquisitions. They did well when they were healthy. You guys forgot the pitching.
February 9th, 2020, around 9 o'clock p.m. They practice thing.
Self-defecation the Cubbies pulled in September. You've got a huge stretch of games against divisional foes with a potential shot at the NL Central lead. You could suffer a catastrophic collapse. 9 straight losses as an end cap to a year of horrific underachieving and bullpen implosions. What you are hearing is St. Louis using your misery as an aphrodisiac.
LMD lead.
You look nuts.
And worse, we...
2020. It's now 12:45 a.m., but I started this at 11:30 p.m. on 12/9 Sunday. So yeah, I still have one for today, which is 12/10 2020. So that was just a little bit of a, I slowed down the tempo from 110 to 90, and that made quite a big difference as far as the length of the song. And then I started with the bass, and when I do that, it turns into a jam sometimes, like that, where all the guitars is kind of going off. But anyways, it's good practice, an 8-minute song, several takes, and then several, I typically don't cut, if I go all the way with the take, it stays on the track, I may not feature it, but it stays. But I do stop and starts. I will, find myself not focused on a take and messing up several places in the very beginning of it, so I stop and start over. But typically, if I finish to the end, it stays in the mix somehow. And so anyways, yeah.
The ongoing outbreak. Global efforts to combat the coronavirus intensify as the death toll surpasses that of the SARS epidemic. 75 years after the liberation of Auschwitz, negative perceptions of European Jews are increasingly pervasive.
I'm not troubled for myself because I'm nearly 100 years old, but for my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchild, and for all the young people of today, I would wish a better world for them.
There are a couple moments where he starts to criticize the call for a revolution, and he says that we need to focus on uniting, not dividing. And now in a big arena for a state Democratic Party fundraiser, that didn't go over well, of course, with Bernie Sanders supporters.
Biden, a lot of looking at Joe Biden and the fact that people worry. I talked to a number of voters yesterday and on Saturday who said they're just not sure that this Joe Biden, who they loved as vice president, has what it takes.
fait-il?
Non, je suis pas d'accord. Ouais, monsieur Ballois?
Il est dans la salle à manger.
Que fait-il?
Il boit de l'eau. Où est Betty le castor?
Elle est dans la cuisine.
Que fait-elle?
Elle mange des céréales. Ouais, monsieur Berry?
Il est dans la cuisine. Enjoy it.
Andre's Mr. Do-It-All. He's a versatile guy, making winning plays.
He doesn't speak much, but when he speaks, it means so much.
He's one of the smartest players I've ever been around in my 30-plus years in the NBA.
He's a leader. He's always there for us.
Takes the corner, jumper for the win.
Hear your fans. My brothers will be back in action. Full throttle next year to wreak havoc on the league for 80 games. Love y'all.
So even if this isn't going to be enacted, what we see is a White House who's saying we're going to continue with those hardline immigration policies. The president's going to continue to say that we.
You can stop by for the meeting. Take a seat. Let's have a little chat. You seriously think you can compete? There was absolutely nothing over the past few months that has shown me that you are ready to take the next step. Great. You have pieces. You have some nice ones, in fact. I don't see anything resembling a puzzle. Jesus Christ, boys. You've come into the office complaining about a minor cough when I'm seeing a full-blown case of tuberculosis. Like most years that the Rockies are terrible, it's one thing that's glaring as the main cause. Pitching and add more pitching to those woes. I wouldn't harp on it that much, but when your Cy Young candidate regresses into AAA fodder and every expensive bullpen arm burns money in front of your face, there's a problem, no? This happened away from Coors Field as well. At least was passable, but what truly worries me is the impatience of ownership. Yes, Andy Green was ineffective as a manager and deserved to be fired, but he's all but demanding the team win more next year no matter the cost. The Padres are going to fuck up their own rebuild, aren't they? Fowler lives up to his word and sells. Who buys the team? Another generic cheap ass? You have potential. Don't waste it. Normally a team that is locked into terrible...
February 11th, 2020, Tuesday night, around 7:30 p.m. I started this one.
hateful ignorance that only bolsters a record of racist attitudes that he brought into the campaign, and that from his time we're thinking about politics. So this pattern is clear, and what you've got now is congressional leadership that continues to be afraid of poking the bear. They're complicit. They are complicit in this. They are afraid to do anything that will get in the way of their business, so they hold their nose and keep at it. The difficulty the president has should be obvious, which is if he's going to negotiate with Democrats at all, they're going to want to know that there's something of good faith.
And I'm Judy Woodruff in New Hampshire. On the NewsHour tonight, we are on the ground in the Granite State, where voters in the nation's first primary will help shape the Democratic race for president.
Past resignations from the prosecution team in the case against Roger Stone, confidant of President Trump and convicted felon. The banks of India's Ganga River, where the holy waters grow more polluted every day.
By far the most toxic pollution of this river is probably the least visible unless you happen upon drainage canals like this one.
Tuesday's top plays from the NBA. There were 5 games in the association. We start with play number 5, and it's Zach LaVine, the steal, and the flush on the other end. Zach LaVine at his 5th 40-point game of the season. But it came in a losing effort Tuesday. Number 4, all by his lonesome, sneaking in on the baseline. Drew Holiday lobbing it up, and Zion knows where to deposit it. Number 1, Joel Embiid and Marcus Morris getting into a little scuffle just moments before this happens, as Embiid erasing the Morris shot attempt. And Joel Embiid did anything but chorus, swatting away Marcus Morris to take down the top spot on Tuesday night.
I think you can hear what the sentiment is here. We have a lot of chants from Bernie Sanders supporters basically saying that they believe anything is possible for this campaign. Changing the world is possible is part of their chant. I'm not, for Bernie.
There was such debate, you would think that Justice Department leaders would be paying close attention to what was filed and would want to sign off on what was about to be filed. So we still have a lot of questions there, but suffice it to say, this is all very unusual. While debate about what should be recommended is not unusual, we have something much more than.
Trump also said he expects other departures from the White House.
All the wars in the country are held accountable. They need to end the wars, they need to restore the economy, and they need to show that they can deliver a democratic system. They have 2.5 years left in this interim period to prepare for the elections that will usher in a truly democratic government for the first.
Senator Bernie Sanders and Mayor Pete Buttigieg got exciting news. They finished number 1 and number 2 with a very tight margin between them. And that is turning out to be some matchup. An old Jewish guy versus a young gay guy. It's like an uncomfortable Thanksgiving dinner. And in 5th place, and then had to hitchhike to South Carolina because he's not allowed to drive at night. But if you are Joe Biden, 77 years old, you lose New Hampshire to 78-year-old Bernie Sanders, that has to feel like getting dumped by a woman and then seeing her on a date with your uncle. That's got to stink.
February 12th, 2020, around got home from work around, I started around 10:30 p.m. Skechers tonight, been working at Skechers in Park City with Eric, and he's decided to move on, so I did too. So I might work with Skechers in Sugar House, but one more night at Skechers.
Disgrace. It's a 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 disgrace.
So it's really a great thing in some ways, but in other ways, it's a disgrace. Right.
Bernie Sanders just 2 days after his victory in the New Hampshire primary. Then the politics of an outbreak as the coronavirus claims more than 1,000 victims. How China's ruling Communist Party is under the microscope. As the coronavirus dominates today's headlines, we look at the rising global threat of measles.
It's really a collective failure that these outbreaks are happening, and the underlying reason is that people are not vaccinated.
So many days ago that they put out a flyer saying that they oppose the kind of single-payer health plan that you have endorsed. How do you respond to their position?
Look, they are a great union, and I know their leadership, and we work and will work very closely with them. Some of their part of Unite here, the broader union, and some of the locals in Unite here are strongly supporting us, who have the same health care plan as the culinary workers, and those unions believe in Medicare for all. Many unions do believe in Medicare for all.
They're saying your plan would take away the health care that their members have.
Well, I don't. You know, we're working hard. I am feeling fine.
And I was going to ask you, how do you feel?
I feel great. A little bit tired. I haven't had a day off in 3 weeks, but other than that, I'm feeling pretty good.
Understandable. Pete Buttigieg said yesterday, he said in order to compete against a president and his brief but spectacular take on poetry and revolution. On our bookshelf tonight, a very stable genius, Donald J. Trump's Testing of America. From Washington.
And we are saying, let's really rethink this. But if there...
Me say, Astros would not have won the World Series without cheating. They knew what was coming. And Jose Altuve in particular is a villain here, and he's one of everyone's favorite players. But see the way Bregman just took responsibility, said the team, the organization, and me? I still haven't heard Altuve do it like that. won the first 2 games by 1 run.
Okay.
Okay? Each time. They went to Yankee Stadium, they got the brakes beaten off them. Like, the Yankees were clearly a superior team when the cheating was taken away. Then they went back to Astros, and they beat the Yankees twice. Finally, with a walk-off by Altuve. Like, what? What? And you knew what was coming? So I want to hear Jim Crane saying, there's no way to know. Maybe we did win. Like, I understand why the owner of the team's not going to say, yeah, we...
Trump's victory in 2016.
I want to get it right. I'm really sorry about the choices that were made by my team, by the organization, and by me. I've learned from this, and I hope to regain the trust of baseball fans. Really? You spent 2 weeks wordsmithing that? Here's a little lesson for you, Alex, and for anyone giving press conferences. When you are intense, right? One at a time. Take the microphone and say, you know what? I did it. I did it all. I did it real good, and I did it often.
Now, somewhere. And he's so full of anxiety because he just now realized it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. I'm sorry. If he's lucky he realized it now. I mean, you got to be ready. So, what are you ready with? What's the plan?
To the same degree has to do the same thing, and making those divided. We can't cover 14 states at once. Okay, there's going to be 2 or 3 that are going to emerge as the battleground, and it's going to be strategic for convincing the press and the public that these are the 2 or 3 states, and
difficulties along the way. And then they're told by U.S. authorities that they have to return to Mexico, wait in really precarious conditions, in shelters that may or may not have space for them, in situations where they're often afraid to leave the place where they're staying.
And it's Friday. Mark Shields and Michael Gerson analyze the state of the Democratic presidential race going into